So I'm Zeb Roche. I'm a paragliding instructor and a mountain guide.
My name is Liv Sansoz. I'm a mountain guide and a paragliding pilot. In July 2024, we climbed K2 without oxygen and we flew off the summit with a Niviuk Tandem wing, which was a prototype. And it was the first time someone was flying off the summit, so it was the world first. When you want to climb 8,000 without oxygen, you need to plan a lot of days. We were on the Baltoro Glacier for about 45 days. And we had planned to have 3 weeks to 4 weeks to acclimatize. What means acclimatization? It means you get your body used of the lack of oxygen. So you go a little bit higher than the base camp. The first day, you come down. The next time you go higher than the base camp, you sleep, you go higher and you come down. And you repeat that many, many times. And it's what we did. We were staying at the base camp at 5,000 meters. And we went up to sleep many times at 6,600 meters. And quite often, when we were doing this acclimatization, we were using the single wings, the prototype of the skin, to be able to come down safely and faster.
When we are doing the acclimatization, of course, we want to save our energy coming down. So we use the glider as much as possible, but it's not always the case because in high altitude, very often you have strong wind, you have a lot of weather condition that is not good for flying. But anyway, we wanted to use single skin glider because it's very compactable. We can put that into our rucksack and it doesn't take much room. It's super light. This one is 1.1 kilo, and then we don't need we don't need a lot of performance. What we need is a glider which is really easy to take off, and then which is going to be safe enough to get down to the place where we want to land. Of course, we have to be careful because when we fly in altitude, the air is thinner, so that means that the speed at the landing will be much faster. So we have to be aware of that and to find landing which are more suitable. So most of the time we're trying to find a place where it's flat and if it's snow it's even better. But if we don't have the choice, sometimes we land on the ice or on the sand. But of course we try to avoid places where there's a lot of rocks and stuff like that. So the skin prototype was just the perfect gear for this acclimatization, and we did quite a lot of flight during the training.
In Pakistan, we had the tandem wing and the solo wing because it was fun sometimes to fly each one his wing. We knew since the beginning we wanted to fly with the tandem from the summit of K2, but for the acclimatization it was nice and fun. We
used the solo glider most of the time, but once or twice we went also with the tandem because we wanted to make sure everything was working well, and that was a good test also because we flew it a lot in Europe, in France before the trip. But of course it's always different to fly it at 6,000 meters than here in the maximum that we could go was around 4,000. So yeah, we were happy to try it before the real one.
Yes, we did a mix of solo fly and the tandem fly.
Exactly.
And it was good to try the tandem wing before going to the K2 summit, to the top. What it is to climb 8,000 without oxygen, it's something really, really hard, and you have to be extremely well prepared. Above 8,200, it starts to be extremely hard, and the difficulty gets even harder and harder. Every 100 meters you gain, the lack of oxygen is even stronger. It's not like linear, it's exponentially hard. Our ascent day started from the camp 3 at 7,400 meters to go up to 8,600 meters. And it took us a bit more than 14 hours. Below 8,200, we were at a pretty good rhythm. We were feeling good and almost strong. But above 8,200 meters, we could really feel the hypoxia. We had the lack of oxygen in your body, in your muscles, in your brain. You can really feel it because when you move, when you hike up, your muscles are not responding the same than if you are lower in altitude. And also your brain is not the same. Like even if you try to be very focused, very aware of what's happening, you have a lot of time distortion. Maybe sometimes you think, okay, we stop 5 minutes, and then you look at the watch and it's 40 minutes that are gone and you haven't seen them. You're like, wow, 40 minutes we stop. It felt like 5 minutes. So you have to be very careful in this zone. We call it the death zone when you are at that altitude without oxygen, because your brain is not working properly, your body, your muscles are not working properly, so it's a very dangerous zone. And you have to be as fast as possible to spend the less time possible. And when we reached the summit of K2, we were extremely happy. We were exhausted, of course, but we were still very focused on, okay, it's not finished here, we have to take off. And it was Zeb's responsibility to have us in the air to take off safely.
During the climb, around 8,300 or 200, I started to feel very, very tired. Like I was not sick or anything, but it's just, I mean, when you stop and you are relaxed and you breathe normally, you feel good. But as soon as you start walking and doing any movement, then your body is not responsible. It's just like it's everything is really, really hard and complicated. So then I tell Liv, okay, now I feel really tired, and we decided together that she would carry then the glider. I was carrying it before, and so she was feeling a bit better than I, so she carried this one, and we changed the the rucksack. And actually, the idea was that I would be smart enough in the takeoff area to make sure we take the good decision and make the right move to succeed in the takeoff. So actually, when we arrived on the top, I saw that it was very few wind. The wind was really, really weak. It was good and bad because, of course, if you arrive there and it's too much wind, it's going to be very complicated to put the glider into the snow and make sure it's not flying by itself. So for that, it was really nice because we could put the glider and it was not moving. And the takeoff was amazingly perfect. The K2 mountain is really steep from every direction. And here, when you arrive to the top, there is this almost flat area. It's not so big, but a little bit flat. And if you look towards the northwest, that was just perfect because the snow was compact, so we could walk or run without any problem. And we had the wind in almost the good direction, a little bit on the side, but not too bad. And of course, the main thing up there, it's the lack of oxygen, but it's also the lack of carrying. I mean, the air is so thin that we were a little bit afraid that when we inflate the glider, we would not have the lift until we run really fast or very long, because normally we have two options. Either the wind is strong enough to lift us up, or you have to run fast enough to be lifted by the wing. And running together, two people at this altitude, it's really something difficult. So we wanted to make sure, because of course the takeoff is a bit flat, and then after you've got rocks, and then this is super steep. So our concern was make sure the wind is carrying us enough to get over the rocks, and then after in the air, no problem. We took off like that. A good friend from Italy arrived at the top just at the same time as we did, and he just hold the glider. Just we asked him, could you just help us? So he held the glider for 5 minutes, and then I could inflate the glider and turn around, and then we run maybe 10-15 meters. So that was amazing because we really thought we would have to run way more than this So we were really surprised the glider would lift us up that good, actually. And what's also is really different from flying in high altitude than flying in the Alps, for example. It's the glider in altitude will react way faster than lower. So we have to have the perfect move. I mean, we have to inflate and then to just do enough but not too much of braking and so on. So the control has to be really you don't have to think. If you think, it's not gonna work, because up there you are not able to think fast. So what I want to say is that I think my experience flying for 40 years makes the takeoff like natural, because when I'm on top there or any kind of summit, if I have to inflate and to take off, I don't think. It's just natural. I just do the move without thinking. It's like when you drive a car and you have experience, then you know that you're not stressed, and if anything happen, you will react without thinking. And that's really, I think, the important point when you are climbing high altitude summit like this one, to make sure that your reaction, everything will be automatic. If you don't have this and you have to think, then it could be really a problem, because you may react too much or don't do the proper move, and this could be catastrophic. As soon as we were flying, for me, the project was done. I mean, I was just like relaxing, because before, when we arrived at the top, Liv, she said, "Okay, let's do a selfie," and so on. And me, I was really already focused on the next step. The next step was organizing the takeoff, looking at the wind, looking at the configuration of the takeoff, how was the snow, what is the danger, from which direction we're gonna do, and so and I told Liv, okay, we're gonna put the glider here, we're gonna inflate this way, and we're gonna run this way and jump into the hole. And she say, are you sure we're gonna jump into the wall? And I say, yeah, I'm pretty sure. For me, there was no doubt, but I was super focused on that. So we did not really enjoy arriving on the top, like, oh, it's fantastic up there and so on. Of course, we felt that, but I could not like just let go, because it was not finished. We really have to focus on the next step, and we were not too soon on the top also. So it means that if we could not fly, we would have to come down. It would take like 2 days almost, and it's gonna be much more work, much more. I'm sure I would be very exhausted. The time we spent in the air was a lot. I mean, I really expect the glider to just fly fast and drop us down to the base camp like super fast, but actually we spent like half an hour in the air, which was really a lot. We had really time to enjoy and to see all the glacier around, and this mountain is amazing because you've got this big pyramid and nothing around almost. So you are flying from this mountain, and you can see the picture. It's just unbelievable. So, and of course, flying down a mountain like this, it's way safer than coming down by foot, because if you come down by foot, you have different problem. I mean, if you fall, if you fall in a crevasse, if you can have a rock fall, you can have avalanches and all this. But as soon as you are flying, if of course you need to have perfect condition for the takeoff, but as soon as you are flying in the air, it's way safer than coming down by foot. And most of the people who has died on K2, it was on the way down. So we were so glad to have this amazing glider, which is 2.4 kilo, and it's a single skin prototype, the lightest glider ever made for Tandem. And I mean, that was the best safety object we could have to get down from this mountain, actually. During the flight, the feeling was amazing because we had the chance to have very few wind condition. So the flight was pretty smooth. So I could just let go the glider without holding anything. We decided to take off with the crampons to make sure we would not fall for takeoff. We usually don't use the crampons for takeoff because it's a problem for the landing. So in the air, I took time to release the crampons, and I could do that because the glider was reacting really well and it was super smooth. And of course, I was a little bit focused on the landing because landing at 5,000 meters is always a bit tricky. But we had this wind coming down the glacier, and we arrived and landed at speed zero. So it was really soft. And the feeling in the air with the glider was it reacted pretty well we don't have to put so much pressure. So that was really easy. No, that was nice, super nice.
We had the lift and we were not going down, and it was crazy. Like I was like, we are so high in the sky. I had never been that high, of course, and we were not going down. Like for 10 minutes, we were like, okay, we're still here, great. But it was not bumpy. It was not pam pam pam. It was like smooth and nice, and yeah, it felt really secure and easy.
Yeah. And I really think that this is the future, of climbing high mountains, because one, for safety, and two, this is so cool to be able to fly, because of course when you walk up, if you walk down, you are still on the same route, you still see more or less the same thing. As soon as you take off with your glider, it's completely different atmosphere, it's a completely different view, and it's something really nice. You are like a human and then you become a bird for a few minutes, and that's just amazing.
Not every climber or not every pilot can take off from 8,000 mountains, but for sure in the future we will see more and more paragliding in the high mountains, because it's the way to do it.
For me, the best moment was when the foot just leave the ground and we start flying.
I had 3 best moments. When we reached the summit, I was like, wow, we did it. We reached the summit without oxygen. We are here. It was already something like big. And of course, when we took off, when the feet were like not on the ground anymore, I was like, wow, we made it. But the strongest moment was really when we landed. We turned back and there was a K2 behind us, and I looked at Zeb and I was like, Zeb, we did it, we really did it. Like I really realized, but we just did it. And this was really strong. Yeah.
For me, it's really important to share what I love, and this expedition was just a perfect way of explaining all this thing. I don't know how to explain. I don't have the word, but anyway. And I think coming back from this, living this, you get much more strong into the couple as well, to have more project and to face all the difficulty of life. We know really for sure that we can count on each other, and that's super strong.
And of course, we survived 2 months in a small tent together. So it was a really good, it was a beautiful experience because we did it together. And if you go for 2 months on a Baltoro glacier or trying to climb a mountain, for me, I'd rather do with the person I love than with a random friend or alone. So of course, sharing that with Zeb was made the experience even more beautiful. And of course, we learned more on each other and how strong we can be together.
To have all the planets aligned to make sure everything's working. So we need to be, both of us, in good shape. The mountain has to be well. The wind has to be good. Everything. That's a lot of parameters that has to be aligned to make it work. And it seems simple when you see the movie and so on, but there's a lot of things behind which are not simple at all. So.
My name is Jean-Yves Fredrickson, but everybody call me Blutch, and I am 49, and I am a mountain passionate since my young age. And I started by flying when I was 13, and climbing as well by the same time, and skiing much earlier because I'm born in the mountains, and so I touch a little bit everything, and I do that for my work as well. I am mountain guide and ski instructor. What I've done on K2? K2 is an old dream, coming from maybe a little bit of frustration 15 years ago. I used to climb big mountains in Himalayas, but my partner, who was very famous and who had big sponsors, had a brain hemorrhage, and so I saved his life. He's still alive, but he was bringing me and financed me to climb big mountains, and I didn't have the budget to carry on 8,000 meter peaks. So finally I gave up for 10-15 years. I started to do BV flights in Himalayas because I was in love with Himalayas, and BV flight cost absolutely nothing except the flight ticket to go there. And finally, after the COVID, gently started to come back the idea to climb one more, and one of the biggest, but maybe more exciting if it's the hardest, and even more exciting if it's not by the normal route, and definitely more exciting if I am alone, and that's why I'm super proud. And now this page is turned to solo K2 out of the beaten track was my first dream, and for sure my only backup was not a rope to abseil down, but it was my parapent. The chance to fly from there was so small. I was absolutely not expecting to realize this dream, so it's the cherry on the cake. To fly from K2, first ever, we've been four to fly on that day, but to have the chance to climb and fly from there, it's totally unexpected and totally crazy. So before to attempt to fly from K2, for sure I've been flying in Himalayas a lot. I had an idea and I did train well, I guess, because it's been a success, but I had no idea of what I'm going to meet at the top, and especially on that day. I arrived at the top at 1:30 p.m. and there was no wind, absolutely no wind. I could get ready without gloves, so it was I did train in strong winds to take off, and there was no wind. And when I get ready in my harness and with my brakes and my lines, I just realized, oh, fuck, there is no wind. And started to just try to inflate my glider, but there was no wind. And started to think, I have a little problem. And finally, after 5 or 6 attempts, it's been 1 hour and a half, because every time the slope to take off was absolutely perfect. It was 20 meters before the wall and 20 meters of gently steep snowfield. so it was absolutely perfect. But I was running and I could not feel any tension in the line, so I stopped and recovered my breath and climbed back up again. And after 5 or 6 attempts, I was exhausted. I did a little nap, 1.5 minutes nap at the top, and then I was not 100% on the planet. I was a little bit somewhere else. But anyway, the last attempt was the good one. I get the luck to have a little gust, and I could take off. And by the time I had 10 kilometers of wind, it was just perfect. I could feel the tension on the line, in the harness, and I was confident to take off. The parapent was amazing. The generation of the skins, the one-layer parapent, improved and developed by Tim and Olivier, is simply amazing. I mean, it's inflating so easily. It brings so much confidence for the takeoff, and especially in high mountain. The way to take off is definitely super easy. Super easy. By foot, by ski, and if you have a light wind, the takeoff is a piece of cake. And even if you are between rocks or very close from the cliff or in the trees or whatever, the flight, the feeling was not to have a crazy speed. The mountain is super big, so maybe it's the reason I didn't feel I was flying super fast. My plan was to land to my high altitude camp at 6,600 meters, to pack my tent, my sleeping bag, and my stove and everything, to clean the mountain on the way down. And so I took off at 8,600 meters, and I land to my tent at 6,600 meters. After 20 minutes, I land. It's been a piece of cake. The snow was soft because it's been a beautiful day, but it's been a piece of cake to land 5 meters above my tent, and then I could go to my tent, and actually the wind was gently going down, so I never took off again. I had to spend the night and wait the following day to get a good wind, headwind, to take off again. But actually takeoff, fly, and landing with a 1.1 kg glider who can hold in my pocket, because the glider is not bigger than my 2 pockets. When I was climbing 15 years ago on Annapurna or Shishapangma or Manaslu, other 8,000 meter peaks, I always brought my parapent. That was 15 years ago. The single layer and the skin would not exist at all. And but I was already convinced the parapent is the safety march. It brings safety in high altitude, because in few minutes you can be down. You get altitude sickness. In 20 minutes, you are in half an hour, you are at base camp. And there is avalanche dangers, or it's too late in the afternoon, the snow bridge on the crevasses are too risky. You fly. You fly over the icefall, you fly over the avalanche danger, and you can lose altitude so quickly. So it's really bring safety. That's why I made the choice to do not bring any rope with me. I left my altitude camp only with my parapent, and in my mind I knew at this place I can easily take off. At this place I can easily take off. At the top, trying to take off, and after this short nap, because I was exhausted, I didn't feel, and I was not aware. It came like this, and suddenly my brain said, sleep. I slept. My camera was turning, and I could time the length of the nap. So I did 1 minute and a half nap, and when I wake up, wow, I was feeling much better. So I took my parapent, I start again, and Liv and Zeb arrive to the top. It's not possible. They were climbing the past day, because for me, I spent a night in my nap. So Liv started to speak to me, and I didn't answer because I thought I had a hallucination. So I was not dizzy, but I knew I started to be strange because of the altitude. And what's this funny? Zeb came for 1 or 2 minutes, said, "You need help, Blutch?" And I said, "Yes, but I'm just waiting for wind." And he held my glider for 1 or 2 minutes. And I said, "Go, go, go." I said, "No, I'm waiting for wind." "Okay, so I'm going to get ready." And then the wind came and I could take off. By the time my feet left the ground, my brain immediately came back in the true reality. And I was 100% concentrated. And I could watch Liv and Zeb and just think, fuck, they were there for true. And then I was flying and I was super excited, and I knew you do this kind of flight once a life. So I knew, don't miss anything of this view and this feeling and this experience. So safe to fly with this kind of glider, even when it's turbulent. Well, when it's moving, but anyway, I didn't hold the brakes. And I was concentrated with my camera without gloves, and I was filming here, and I had under my bottom stuck in the harness, and I was like this, cool, up, put my gloves again, and enjoy, and just turning right like this, turning left like this, and super good feeling. There is no room for adrenaline and emotion. I am this kind, I know it can be frustrating, but when I am climbing something difficult or when I'm flying in hard conditions, I am concentrated, and there is no room for adrenaline and emotion. I'm concentrating, I'm focusing on my target. I really appreciate this flight, but I don't scream at all. I'm just concentrate on the cloud sea. Where is the best way to go through the cloud sea? Stuck at 8,000 meters, and then lose altitude without moving to the face. And then okay, I'm 100% sure I am flying above the way I climb, and I will find my bivouac, and I will follow the plan. And then when you land,